everyone, and thank you all for joining us for today's presentation. My name is Marissa, an attorney with Legal Aid of North Carolina's Helpline. Today, we have Olivia Fletcher and Regina Smith presenting for us. If you are unfamiliar with the format of this event, first our presenters are going to review a PowerPoint presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will have a question and answer session. If at any point during the presentation you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A box on Zoom or in the comments section on Facebook. We'll review all questions put in the chat boxes during that Q&A session at the end. Please remember that this is a public forum and Legal Aid is not representing you at this time. Be sure not to reveal personal details about yourself and to keep your questions as general as possible, as we cannot provide any legal advice specific to your individual situation. The session will end when there are no more questions, and regardless of where we are, we will have a hard stop at 2:00 p.m. With all that being said, I'm going to pass it over to our presenters to get us started.
Thank you so much for that introduction. So as Marissa said, I'm Olivia Fletcher with Legal Aid of North Carolina, and I've got here my coworker, Regina Smith. I'll do the first part of the presentation and she'll take over for the second part. So today we'll be talking about a new project that is jointly done between Legal Aid of North Carolina, which is who we are with, as well as Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy and Pisgah Legal Services. They're our partners out in Mecklenburg County and out west in the state. So first, we're going to talk about the basics of Medicaid, as that is what this project revolves around. So for those of you who don't know, in North Carolina, we use the managed care model of Medicaid. More than 3 million people are currently enrolled in Medicaid in North Carolina. This change into managed care occurred on July 1st, 2021. Prior to that date, Medicaid had a fee-for-service model, which is where the state of North Carolina directly oversees and operates Medicaid services. After that date, it moved to a managed care model, which is where the state has contracts with private health plans, and they are the ones who administer Medicaid services. 80% of beneficiaries, those are people who have Medicaid, are in Medicaid managed care. About 600,000 are still in Medicaid Direct. That's that old form of Medicaid where the state administers services. Most people who have Medicaid in North Carolina must stay on managed care and they cannot disenroll from managed care. There are a variety of Medicaid plans in North Carolina. Most people are on standard plans, so you might be familiar with some of these names: AmeriHealth Caritas, Carolina Complete Health, Healthy Blue, United Healthcare Community Plan, and WellCare. The tailored plans launched, I believe, in 2024. Or was it 2023? I'd have to check on that. But they launched a couple years ago, but after the standard plans. And those 4 plans are Alliance Health, Partners Health Management, Trillium Health Resources, and Via Health. And then lastly, there are 2 others. There's the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians Tribal Option, and those are for federally recognized tribal members in North Carolina. And then the brand new Healthy Blue Care Together that launched in December of 2025. And that is for children in foster care or who are receiving adoption assistance, among other things. So you might be wondering, why were we created? How are we helping out with the Medicaid world? Well, the managed care world that started in 2021 can be a little bit confusing. There are a lot of different entities involved in Medicaid managed care, and it can be confusing for beneficiaries to navigate it and figure out who to call. And so originally, the Department of Health and Human Services, who runs Medicaid in North Carolina, created what was called the NC Medicaid Ombudsman Program. And this was designed to help beneficiaries navigate the Medicaid managed care world. This contract for the Ombudsman Program was awarded to Legal Aid of North Carolina with Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy and Pisgah Legal Services as partners. Now, Unfortunately, in August 2025, the Department of Health and Human Services announced that this contract for the ombudsman would be ending, at least for legal aid. And so in January 2026, the Medicaid ombudsman program still exists, but the Department of Health and Human Services took it over. And in comparison to the old ombudsman program, this new one is a smaller team, and they don't have the ability to call the various Medicaid entities like the Departments of Social Services, the Medicaid plans, or other community organizations. And it is helpful to have that sort of warm transfers when you're navigating the Medicaid world. And there is little to no outreach as well. So those of you who previously used the ombudsman services might not know that it still exists in some capacity. And so there is now this new need for help in navigating the Medicaid world in North Carolina. Legal Aid, CCLA, and PISCA really wanted to find a way to meet that need. And so we looked for outside funding. And we reached out to the Kate B. Reynolds Charitable Trust, and they were able to award a grant so that we could create this project to fill the gap that has been lost by this smaller ombudsman program. So the NC Med Help project is what this KBR funding created. It supports former ombudsmen. So Regina and I are former ombudsmen at Legal Aid, Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy, and PISCA Legal Services to continue to do similar work that we used to do at the ombudsman program. So we are NC Med Help staff, and we are now called Health Benefits Resolution Specialists, bit of a mouthful, or HBRS if you want to shorten it. And so we can help with a variety of issues. We can help with medical billing, such as if you are receiving a medical bill and you don't know why Medicaid didn't pay for it, if you're having a problem with accessing your medicine, if you're having a problem getting a ride to a medical visit. Medicaid provides free transportation to doctor's appointments. We also help with system errors, or we call them data issues. You might come across these where you can't use your Medicaid coverage because the system says something wrong, like your coverage ended or your date of birth is wrong. And so you're not able to use your Medicaid coverage. We also help with quality of care issues. Maybe you want to file a complaint about Medicaid or your health plan, or you just need help navigating Medicaid's customer service. We can help with that as well. And then lastly, we don't process plan changes ourselves, but if you're having a problem with changing your health plan, like from AmeriHealth to Carolina Complete Health, we can investigate why that's happening. And since we are housed within these three legal organizations, if you need legal representation for it to appeal a denial or termination of your Medicaid, an HBRS can also connect you to a lawyer. But keep in mind, we ourselves are not attorneys. Our assistance is non-legal in nature. So let's talk more about what specifically we can do to help Medicaid beneficiaries. So I talked a little bit about medical billing. Give me just a moment, gotta move something out of the way. All right. So one thing we see a lot are system errors. Sometimes there is a non-Medicaid insurance that might show up on your Medicaid account. Maybe it's an old insurance that you used to have, or maybe it's an insurance you've never had. For whatever reason, it's showing up on your Medicaid account, and until it's removed, Medicaid won't pay for the service. That's a system error that we can help resolve. Sometimes DSS says that your Medicaid coverage is active, but for whatever reason, your health plan, maybe WellCare, says your coverage is inactive. You can't get medical care through us. We can look into why that's happening and get it fixed. We also see people receive bills because there's maybe an issue with the doctor or administrative issue. So this might look like your doctor just submitted the bill to Medicaid incorrectly and they don't know how to fix it. We can look into how to fix it, let them know, and then they'll stop billing you. Maybe your doctor's office doesn't accept your Medicaid plan, so we can help you change your plan if need be, or we can talk to your doctor if they didn't tell you ahead of time that they don't accept your plan, and potentially tell them that they're not allowed to bill you. Depends on the circumstance, but Sometimes doctors think that Medicaid won't pay for a particular service, and maybe they just need some basic reminders about what Medicaid does and doesn't pay for so that we can get them to bill for that service and stop billing you. And then very rarely we see situations where a plan paid for a service and then they took the money back. We can look into why that happened, hopefully get it fixed, and then again, your doctor will stop billing you. Now, occasionally, Medicaid or your Medicaid plan may send you a letter saying that they won't pay for a service because they don't think that you need it. They don't think it's medically necessary. This is usually after you've received the service. So you don't just receive a bill from your doctor, you've gotten a notice from your plan too saying, we're not going to pay for this. That is more of a formal denial, in which case you might need to appeal it. And in that case, we might end up recommending you speak to an attorney on our team. But it's super easy to get that referral since we work with them every day. So, relatedly, we do see a lot of medication and prescription access issues in the Medicaid world, and we can help with them as well. So, maybe your pharmacy is refusing to give you your medication. Maybe Medicaid isn't covering the medication, or sometimes maybe you can't get your new eyeglasses or dentures. We consider those prescription access issues as well. So, one thing that's important to know is Medicaid can require that beneficiaries pay a $4 copay. However, if you're not able to afford it, doctors' offices and pharmacies are not allowed to refuse to serve you, either see you at your appointment or give you your medication. They can bill you afterwards, but they're not supposed to refuse to serve you at the time of service. So we can call these doctors' offices or pharmacies and explain this policy to them so you can get the care that you need in the moment. Similar to billing issues, we see administrative issues or red tape when people are trying to get their medication. So maybe your doctor submitted a particular prescription to your Medicaid plan, and Medicaid is saying, we're not going to pay for it. Maybe Medicaid just needs some more paperwork to prove why you need the medication. Well, we can call Medicaid or your plan to find out what proof they need, and then call your doctor to let them know what they need to submit. Maybe your health plan won't pay for the medication until you try another one first. We can investigate that too. And again, let your doctor know that you need to try this other medication first before you can try the new one. And then sometimes Medicaid simply doesn't cover a medication or service that you need. This is less common, but it does happen. So, regardless of the reason why you can't get your medication, we're happy to call your plan with you to look into it. And then, similar to billing, we often see these third party insurance issues. These are non Medicaid plans that maybe you used to have them, but you don't anymore, or maybe you never had them. And for some reason, they're showing up on your Medicaid account. And this stops Medicaid from paying for your medication. We can call your plan and typically get it removed. And then, once it's removed, we can have your pharmacy rerun the claims so that you can get your medication. Some other situations we see related less to medications and more to other prescriptions. Some doctors' offices, specifically eye doctors, only do vision tests. They, for whatever reason, won't give you your glasses or contact lenses. Well, depending on the situation, it may be that they're supposed to give you those contact lenses or glasses, even though they claim that they don't. So, whatever the reason is, we're happy to speak to them, find out why they're not giving you those glasses or contact lenses, and if necessary, provide them education on why they should release those contact lenses or glasses and how to move forward. And sometimes you might not be able to get a medication because your doctor is not in network, meaning they don't accept your particular Medicaid plan. So we can either help you find a new doctor or we can help you change plans, whichever is appropriate, so that you can get the care that you need. Some other denials you might come across with medication and prescription access. Maybe you're on a controlled substance like an opioid, such as hydrocodone. Sometimes that means you can only go to particular pharmacies or get medications prescribed by particular doctors. So if you're having difficulty figuring out why you can't get your controlled substance, that's something we can look into as well. Or maybe Medicaid doesn't think that you need a medication. Maybe they think it's not medically necessary. That's definitely a time where you'll probably want to speak to an attorney, but we can get you referred to one of our legal colleagues. And sometimes you might come across situations where maybe you just got new glasses, but they broke, or maybe you just got new dentures, but they don't fit right. And Medicaid is saying you have to wait 5 or 10 years before you can get a new one. Well, depending on the situation, we might be able to investigate the issue and get that overridden. Say if the glasses broke in an accident or the dentist made the dentures improperly and they need to be fixed or replaced. So these are all the sorts of things that we can look into for you and try to get resolved. We can also help with non-emergency medical transportation. We abbreviate this as NEMT, and it provides Medicaid recipients with transportation to medical visits and to the pharmacy to get medication. This is provided through your local Department of Social Services if you have the old form of Medicaid that we call Medicaid Direct, or it's provided through your health plan for people on managed care, which is most people. If you're on a health plan, you get your transportation either through MTM or Motive Care. So maybe you tried to schedule transportation, but you were told for whatever reason you're not allowed to schedule a ride. Maybe you scheduled a ride, but the driver didn't show up. Maybe you asked for gas mileage reimbursement, meaning you drove yourself to the doctor's appointment and now you want Medicaid to pay for your gas money, but you didn't get that reimbursement. These are all things that we can look into. And when people have these issues, it can be for a variety of reasons. Again, it might be due to these system errors that I've discussed previously. Maybe, DSS, the Department of Social Services, says that your coverage is active, but your plan WellCare says that your coverage is inactive. Well, if that's the case, then they're not going to let you schedule transportation. So we can look into why the systems say different things and get it fixed for you so you can schedule your transportation. Maybe your plan was changed to another plan for some reason. Maybe you had Healthy Blue last month and for some reason your plan was changed to Alliance this month. Well, we can get you set up with transportation at Alliance for this month, and we can tell you how to change your plan back to Healthy Blue for the next month if that's what you want. Sometimes the plan or the Department of Social Services just need some re-education about whether or not Medicaid covers transportation for certain distances or things like that. So sometimes maybe DSS or the plan didn't provide you with the necessary accommodations. They are required to give you the accommodations you need to get to your doctor's office safely. So whether that's life support, if you need the car to be wheelchair accessible, they must be followed. And if they're not following it, please give us a call and we can help sort it out. Sometimes the Department of Social Services won't take you to a doctor in another county. Generally, they're not supposed to do that, although it does depend on the distance. So again, we can look into that and see if we can get around it. And sometimes your plan might not take you to the pharmacy to get your medication. They might say they only take you to doctor's visits. Well, that's not necessarily true. So we can talk to them about that as well and re-educate them on Medicaid's policies. A couple of more reasons why you might have transportation issues, more of those administrative issues or red tape. If your doctor's office is really far away, maybe your doctor just needs to submit additional paperwork to show Medicaid why you need to go to this doctor. We can help coordinate that. Maybe you took yourself to your doctor's visit and you want Medicaid to pay you back for the gas money. That is something that Medicaid does. But you're not getting that gas money back for whatever reason. We can look into why that's happening and try to facilitate you getting that money back. Or maybe you ask for a ride to a medical visit less than 2 days before the visit. Usually you have to give your plan at least 2 business days in order for them to schedule your ride. But if it's urgent, then sometimes they are required to let you schedule your ride less than 2 days in advance. If they're not honoring that, we can speak to them and see if there's a way around that, but it's on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes there aren't enough drivers in a particular area, and as a result, even though you called with plenty of time in advance, your plan or social services has said that they can't find a driver in time for a ride. There are sometimes ways around this, and we have contacts at the plans or at some social services offices that we can reach out to ask them to keep looking. And then lastly, you might get a denial where you requested to go to a doctor that's really far away, or maybe they don't accept your particular Medicaid plan. And before the appointment, Medicaid denied their request and they sent you a notice. In that case, again, you're probably going to want legal representation, so we can refer you to one of our colleagues. Now, more broadly, we see system errors or data issues cause a lot of issues. You might be unable to change your Medicaid plan. Medicaid might not be paying for medication, which we touched on previously. Or, and we see this sometimes, if you have Medicare and Medicaid, maybe Medicaid isn't paying your Medicare Part B premium. That's a niche issue, but it is something we can help with. So we've already talked a lot about there's another insurance that's preventing Medicaid from paying. That's that third party insurance. We can look into why that third party insurance is showing up on your account and get it removed so you can get your services. We've talked a lot about different Medicaid systems saying different things. So we can look into why DSS says you have coverage, but Healthy Blue says you don't. And we can get that fixed so you can keep seeing your doctor or get your medication. We also see situations where maybe social services thinks that you're living in an assisted living facility, but you're actually living at home. Not to get into too much detail, but that can prevent you from changing your plan. And so we can speak to DSS to get that fixed so that you can change your plan if you want to. And lastly, some people, as I mentioned, have Medicare and Medicaid, or they receive Medicaid because they're on SSI. So that means that their Medicaid and social services receive information from Social Security Administration. Because they use different systems, sometimes they don't talk properly to each other, and that can result in your Medicare premium not being paid, or maybe Social Security system says one thing, but social services says another, and that prevents you from accessing your Medicaid. So wherever that issue is coming from, we can look into it and get it sorted out for you so you can use your Medicaid. All right, and now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Regina.
Thanks, Olivia. Now I'm going to talk about how and when to file a grievance. So Medicaid managed care members can file a grievance or a complaint with your plan if they are dissatisfied with their plan, their provider, their care, or their health services. And members can file a grievance by phone or in writing with their plan at any time. Okay, and now the quality of care grievances. This is relating to what type of grievances you may want to file. So the tailored care management, they help you navigate your health care so you don't have to do it all yourself. So your tailored care management, in which we sometimes call it TCM, they help with finding doctors. They can connect you to special therapies, peer support, help at home, and more. And they also help arrange rides to your doctors and get you resources for housing and food. And so you would basically go through your plan to get a tailored care manager. And if you haven't been assigned one, you can definitely ask to be assigned one. And then also you may have a grievance relating to repeated transportation issues. A grievance also related to value added benefits, extra non-medical benefits such as a free Weight Watchers subscription or free school supplies for children. And then also, what if you have a problem with your doctor? So we can help with trying to get these grievances filed. And then also there are quality of care customer service issues. And these are confusing phone issues where it's hard to navigate when you're calling either DSS or sometimes even your plan. You're having issues trying to just go through the phone system. And then there's difficulty reaching a live person or getting a call back when you've left, multiple messages for a call back and no one seems to give you a call back. Also, also with misinformation, and then it often makes it hard to get other services like non-emergency medical transportation or plan changes. Okay, and with the plan changes, are you unable to change your plan? Was your plan changed, but you didn't want it to? So with the system errors, there can be wrong information at DSS, different Medicaid systems say different things, or automated changes that have been made to your actual plan that you didn't ask for. And did you get a bill from your doctor? Will your doctor no longer see you? And so that would be any type of network issues. And do you need to access special therapies or community resources? And that's like moving to a tailored plan. And which organization do I call for assistance? So you can call the Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy, and they assist with these particular counties: Cabarrus, Cleveland, Gaston, Lincoln, Mecklenburg, Stanley, and Union counties. And then you can call by phone or you can apply online. And then with Pisco Legal Services, they assist with Avery, Buncombe, Burke, Cherokee, Clay, Graham, Haywood, Henderson, Jackson, Macon, Madison, Mitchell, Polk, Rutherford, Swain, Transylvania, Yancey counties, and the Paella boundary. I think that's how you pronounce it. And then also you can contact them by phone or apply online as well. And then with legal aid, we would handle all the other North Carolina counties, and you would contact us by phone or applying online. And this last chart, this just gives you an overview of the different entities that you would call in regards to Medicaid. And this lists their contact information, also at the available times that you can give them a call. And it gives you an overview of which each entity can assist you with. So a lot of these, a lot of these entities, I'm sure you're probably familiar with if you have Medicaid. And then the North Carolina Navigator, you may have not had to call before, so you may need to, contact them if you need health care coverage and you do not know where to start. You want to know what marketplace plans are available, and also you may need help applying for marketplace or medical coverage. And then you also have questions or concerns with current marketplace plans. And then with us again, the North Carolina Med Help line, as Olivia has already discussed on all the different things that we can assist with, which relates to medical billing, medication and prescription access, system issues, transportation to doctor's appointments, quality of care issues, plan changes, and connect you to a lawyer. And so with the other entities um, you may be familiar with, which would be your Medicaid health plan. And so it gives you a list of things that you would, contact your health plan for. And then the North Carolina Medicaid enrollment broker, when it comes to, you would contact them related to if you decide to change your plan. And then the Department of Social Services, if you want to apply for Medicaid or if you need to recertify. And then also the Medicaid Contact Center, They can help with your dental questions and to change your primary care provider, and also just having general Medicaid coverage questions. So this chart would be very useful for you.
Thanks, Regina.
You're
All right.
welcome.
So now we will open it up to questions. I'm going to look at the chat to see if we have any. I don't see any. Marissa, am I missing anything?
Nope, I do not see any questions at the moment. Are just going to leave just a few moments here. If you have a question, you either need to type it in the Q&A box on Zoom or put it in the comments section. Oh, on Facebook. You cannot unmute in this forum, so if you have a question, we're going to give you just a second to reach out. All right. As
All
I
right.
am not seeing any questions, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you to all of you for joining us. Very special thank you to our presenters. If you would like to review anything that they talked about, a recording of today's event will be posted to our Facebook page. It will be immediately available. You can access the recording with or without a Facebook account at www.facebook.com/legalaidnc. If you would like to register for one of our other Listen and Learn programs, such as criminal record expungement, child custody, tenant rights, you can do so on our website at www.legalaidnc.org/clinics. Thank you all so much, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day.